We're good. Welcome aboard, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. Nice and air-conditioned, not like outside. So I do have a few announcements, of course, as you might imagine, and then we will, the Imperial we, will take your questions. Thank you all for being here. I do appreciate it. Under the leadership of President Trump and Secretary Marco Rubio, the United States continues to pursue a clear-eyed foreign policy that prioritizes the safety, prosperity, and global standing of the American people. Last week, the department welcomed delegations from the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda to Washington to support implementation of the June 27th peace agreement, led by senior advisor Boulos. These discussions focused on regional security, cooperation, and economic development, critical pillars for achieving lasting peace and prosperity in the Great Lakes region. And today, Denmark, Norway, and Sweden announced they would fund an additional $500 million package of U.S.-made equipment for Ukraine. In addition, yesterday, the Netherlands announced it will fund the first package of U.S.-made weapons and munitions, including Patriot missiles, worth over $500 million. Together, these deliveries total over $1 billion of life-saving, top-of-the-line American equipment that, as noted by Ambassador Whitaker, will allow Ukraine to, quote, protect critical infrastructure and civilian lives while also staying in the fight until a lasting ceasefire happens. These commitments deliver on President Trump's initiative to facilitate billions of dollars in investment to the United States defense industry and create American jobs while ensuring Europe can ultimately defend itself long-term. Additionally, today, the State Department published a temporary final rule in the Federal Register. I know that sounds kind of bureaucratic-like for everyone watching at home. This is to implement a visa bond pilot program under the Immigration and Nationality Act, consistent with Executive Order 14159, beginning August 20th. Nationals of Malawi and Zambia applying for B1, B2 business and tourist visas will be required to post a bond of up to $15,000. This targeted common sense measure reinforces the administration's commitment to U.S. immigration law while deterring visa overstays. Now, turning to our disaster response for the Philippines. With $250,000 in funding from the Department of State, the World Food Program is transporting family food packs to flood-affected people across central and northern Luzon, with nearly 14,000 delivered to date. The department is providing an additional $250,000 to provide emergency shelter assistance to meet the needs of over 15,000 disaster-affected individuals. Finally, President Trump is signing an executive order today establishing a White House task force on the 2028 Summer Olympic and Paralympic Games. With Los Angeles set to host the World, the task force will coordinate across federal, state, and local agencies to ensure streamlined visa processes, robust security, and efficient transportation. This action highlights America's enduring role as a global leader and premier destination for international engagement, tourism, and sports diplomacy. All right, so a bunch of stuff there. I am looking forward now to taking your questions. And we'll start here. Yes, ma'am. Nice to see you up here as opposed to further back. Welcome aboard.
Very revolutionary.
And you know, let me, before you begin, I do want to announce everyone who is in the front row today. As we know, we have guests as well as regular attendees here in the room for our front row. First, we have Mal MacIver Sheridan with Kyoto. We have Sarah Karakam with Hulk TV Turkey. Sean Fleetwood with The Federalist. Adam Credo with the Washington Free Beacon. I know your avatar on social media. Now everyone's going to be able to see your face. John Lyons, or is it John or Kamen? Kamen, welcome aboard. Kamen Gok with ABC Australia. And Jacob with the Times of Israel. Welcome aboard. Nice to see you again. Saw you this morning. All right, everyone. So now again, Sarah, let's start with you.
Thank you very much. I want to start with Syria. SDF military leader Mazlum Abdi recently stated that Syria should adopt a decentralized structure where all groups have the right to self-governance. He added that a centralized system has already failed. He also said that during his meeting with U.S. Ambassador to Turkey and Special Envoy Thomas Barak, that Ms. Barak came to understand that Syria cannot be governed from a single center. Given that and considering Turkey's strong opposition to any form of Kurdish autonomy in the northeast due to SDF's ties to PKK, an organization that is reportedly now engaged in a disarmament reintegration process in Turkey, albeit with no formal outcome yet, does the U.S. support the SDF's apparent push to establish a parallel or federal governing structure rather than reintegrating into the central Syrian regime? Has the U.S. position on Syria's territorial integrity shifted or softened in any way?
So in general about Syria, I think that this is important. First thing I want to do is read a tweet from Ambassador Barak, our ambassador to Turkey, as well as, of course, our special envoy there in the Middle East as well, Syria and Lebanon. He tweeted, disturbing violence erupted yesterday, this was on August 4th, I should say, in Sueda and in Manbij. Diplomacy is the best way to stop violence and build a peaceful, lasting solution. The United States is proud to have helped mediate a solution in Sueda and to be co-mediating with France the reintegration of the Northeast into a unified Syria. The path ahead belongs to Syrians, urging all sides to uphold calm and resolve differences through dialogue, not bloodshed. Syria deserves stability. Syrians deserve peace. When it comes to, I guess you're asking about Turkey and the
single-center governance, did you change your stance on that?
Well, no, first of all, Ambassador Barak continues to engage all parties to ensure security and calm for all Syrians. But we are continuing to support dialogue with the Syrian government and the Syrian democratic forces aimed at integrating the SDF into the Syrian military. Of course, we welcome all productive meetings between the SDF and President al-Shura. We also support the SDF's intent to transform the current ceasefire in northeast Syria into a comprehensive and lasting peace. And of course, it will be up to Syria and the new government to move the country toward peace and prosperity. I can say that when we look at the notion of a comprehensive, inclusive government, of course, that is the way that it has to work. And I think, as we've talked before, here at the State Department, of course, we speak for the view and approach of Secretary Rubio. What I can say, though, is what President Trump has said publicly, which is that in the beginning of the tariff framework, it was to even the playing field, and then, yes, move into negotiations with countries around the world. So for more details about the timing and plans and conversations, I'd refer you to the White House. What I do know, of course, is that we enjoy a terrific relationship with Australia. We always have, and I think we expect to have that continue. I can say that our alliance has never been stronger or more important. We share the same values, beliefs, and goals. We have fought, of course, side by side in battles over the last 100 years. But I think that for President Trump's approach and attitude, it really is about America being as strong as she can be, which matters to the rest of the world and informs all the rest of our alliances and partnerships for our nation to be strong and as secure as we can be. Certainly, Australia and all of our partners around the world recognize this. It's been, I think, a very long time, which is why many people have been surprised that we're going to have conversations like this. We've seen his success, the money that has come into America as a tremendous supplier and supplier of goods around the world. So I think that that's what we can expect for Australia, as we do a number of other countries, of which we'll have the pleasure of being able to speak with the president and make their own arrangements as well in that regard. All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bruce. So in recent weeks, we've seen the release of previously classified documents showing that then President Obama and his intel chiefs weaponized a 2017 Intel Community Assessment to push the lie that Trump colluded with Russia in the 2016 election. And in this ICA, which showed at the behest of Obama's intel chiefs, included weak and misinterpreted intel to push the notion that Russia wanted Trump to win the election. Meanwhile, the ICA did not include evidence showing the opposite. Many media and the Democrats have since clung to the Senate Intel Committee report and then Senator Rubio's work in drafting that report that said the ICA was fine and that they agreed with Obama's intel chiefs that Russia intervened to help Trump. So my question is, does Secretary Rubio agree with the media and other Democrats that there was nothing improper about the creation of the ICA, or do the recent documents that have been released change his views about the assessment?
Well, I put out a statement myself responding to this when it first came up, and I've found that for you. But I would say that this, in some ways, explains, of course, the vehemence and the effort to try to keep President Trump from winning the last election because of the nature now of what investigations are occurring or may occur. This is what the American people voted for. We saw a great deal going on that was improper. And so we look forward, of course, to what these investigations reveal. Regarding Secretary Rubio, as then Senator Rubio, my statement was this, I think maybe over a week ago. If the legacy media were at all curious about the facts of the matter, they would have found from then Senator Rubio's own statement from 2020 concurrence with DNI Gabbard's consequential findings. Then Senator Rubio determined that the use of the Steele dossier was, quote, very troubling, but even more so, he was alarmed by the behavior and the actions of the FBI in pursuit of what has now been confirmed as a dangerous hoax. His statement revealed serious wrongdoing leading to one of the most infamous political scandals in American history. And of course, I think that at that time was appropriate. As all of us who are here and grateful to be here and blessed to be here, we are also grateful for the American people seeing through that and putting President Trump back in office.
A quick follow-up, if I may.
Right, sure.
So you're saying that Secretary Rubio disagrees with the assessment from Democrats and the media that the drafting of the ICA was on the up and up? Well,
what I can say and what I always caution people in this room to not do is to not draw an extended conclusion about something that I presented. What I presented is what I presented. So I'm not going to expand more on that regarding what the Secretary thinks or might be considering. I won't get ahead of the Secretary in that regard. But I think it's pretty clear what his position is. Right, Daphne.
Thank you so much. Just to follow up on my colleague's question on Gaza,
yes.
Have U.S. officials spoken with Netanyahu about this potential plan for a complete military takeover of Gaza?
I won't remark on any conversations whether or not they have occurred.
Okay, and then Axios is reporting that Witkoff and President Trump discussed plans for the U.S. to increase its role in providing humanitarian aid to Gaza. What will this look like, and how quickly will the U.S. act? I know Trump has mentioned food centers. Where does that stand now?
Well, as we all know, every few minutes things change. When we say something's fluid on the ground, this couldn't be a better example of the nature of how things are moving. I can tell you that after the visit from Special Envoy Witkoff and Ambassador Huckabee, they went at the behest of the president, who wanted people on the ground to be able to report back to him exactly what was happening. Most of us, of course, are relying on reports from various areas. They have reported back to the president. What I won't do is get ahead of what the president will decide about what he's heard and the actions that he will decide to take. He will, obviously, he'll make that known to everyone. But what we do know, of course, from the beginning is that humanitarian aid has been at the heart of our action, not just for Gaza, but around the world, in my topper, as we call it. I mentioned, of course, our current standing with the Philippines and assistance there. But we do know, of course, just as a reminder for people who might not know, Special Envoy Witkoff spent over 5 hours inside Gaza this last weekend to assess the situation and to begin planning the best way to deliver urgent food and medical care to Gaza. And while we don't have anything to announce at this point, obviously it's rather early regarding the end result of that, that still remains our priority. All right. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Also on Gaza,
Yes.
The Free Beacon reported last night about mounting concerns about the Red Cross and its failure to assess the Israeli hostages that are still being held there, especially after Hamas's latest videos came out. Folks I spoke to said to me that are actually looking at reassessing the U.S. relationship with the Red Cross because of this. So I wanted to ask you, one, about that. Is that an option with Congress to reassess the Red Cross's position over there? And two, what's your assessment of their job they've been doing in terms of accessing the Israeli hostages and providing them what appears to be much needed medical care?
Well, I won't speak about the Red Cross or Israel's reaction to that. There's certainly many moving parts. We know that that is part of the nature of what Hamas tends to do. I believe that there were some requirements for them to allow that, but I won't get into those particular details. Obviously, though, with what we've seen with those videos, I've referred to Hamas as monsters in this room. They are clearly a terrorist group. Their main support has been Iran, and they are on their heels now. Clearly, the Middle East is changing, and it is a change that President Trump has asked to be one that is a reflection of new ideas, of having this be a durable peace, not this vicious circle of it happening several times during each generation as though this was some new normal. We reject that. It is clear that the time is now to make the difference it is about, of course, the Israeli people. But the nationalities involved in October 7th, the way that this affects the world as they continue to contribute to try to make a difference, it's a world we all deserve better. So at this point, I would say that when it comes to what Israel's planning, we will have to wait and see. And again, what the decisions that President Trump will announce when it comes to what the way is forward will, based on his pattern, will come up very quickly, perhaps sooner than most of us can imagine. But there is, on the hostages, what we saw, it is an astoundingly evil reminder of who they are in the midst of the conversation around the world. For them to feel comfortable then putting on full display their barbarity and their inhumanity tells you that they seem to feel pretty comfortable at the moment. All of us, the world was appalled. I mean, there's just no other way to describe it. But our leadership clearly is involved in looking to the future, and that is one that the Gazan people deserve and that everyone in the world deserves. Andrea Mitchell.
Thank you so much, Jenny. I wanted to ask you what the State Department or Secretary Rubio's position is on what to do with warehoused excess food from USAID, some of which has not spoiled, biscuits in Dubai, peanut paste, and whether that should be distributed. It's all been paid for by the taxpayers. So is there a view toward whether it should be incinerated or distributed or some combination? Is there a plan afoot?
Well, there's many moving parts, I can say. There is a dynamic involving various different considerations regarding expired food, regarding our Mexico City policy when it comes to certain items as well. And food, we discussed this before, but it's worth repeating. We have food that is purchased, meant to be distributed to specific locations. And then there is food in various locations around the world that is for global emergencies, that sits. And it's food that is meant not to be moved. It's food to be there if there is an emergency where people have to be fed in a quick way with food that is sustainable and and that can be maintained for an extended period of time. But that is food. It's all right. That's the electronic world. It's food that is meant to not be moved. But then there's food, of course, that is there, that is stored in certain places, that is meant for a location. And that moves out and it gets distributed where it should be. But if food is spoiled, it will be destroyed. We are not going to distribute food that is expired. If there is food that is meant for emergencies that has expired, we'll deal with that also accordingly.
Is there any circumstance under which the State Department would countenance destroying unspoiled food for some reason?
Well, I again, don't know of all the circumstances. I can say that there could be a reason of all the things that exist around the world, whether it is the inability for us to move it, a refusal of a government to allow us access or to move it to another country. I can't speak. There are many, many different fronts about why certain decisions are made. What I can tell you is what I've watched over the last 6 months are people who've been here for years, sometimes decades. I see you, sir. Keep your hand down. Thank you very much. Of people who've worked here on these issues for a very long time, others of us who are new because of the election. And the focus has been on how can we make these things work? How can we save enough of whatever the issue is? If it's about funding, if it's about food, if it's about what do we need, how can we make it work, but within the smartest, fastest, most nimble way to be able to help as many people as possible. No one is sitting in a room thinking, how can we destroy as much stuff as possible? That's not our goal. I've spoken in this room many times about the impact of the people who are Foreign Service officers and who are civil servants, who've dedicated their lives, their professions, to making a difference for people around the world. They are still here. They still care deeply. And we are here to try to manage, right, the largest, the most amazing government in the world and what we can do for the people around the world while still paying the respect and the deference to the American people and what they deserve first, so that we can remain the powerhouse and the helper and the friend that we are around the world. So each situation is different, but our goal is to make sure that we, of course, we do remain in the foreign aid business. We remain a facilitator of things that the world needs. Many people probably didn't know that we have these food stores around the world waiting in case something happens.